Good morning, everyone. It's Stephen Whiteside here from the uptrend.com with your morning market outlook for Wednesday, April 29th, 2026. In the pre market this morning, things are fairly quiet. We've got crude oil up over $100 once again. And at the same time, we've got stock index futures trading slightly higher this morning. So crude oil's up, gold's down in the pre market. We do have a bunch of economic numbers coming out this morning that could certainly help change the direction of the market. It should be fairly quiet up until this afternoon. Everybody will be waiting for the Fed meeting announcements. And of course, we're not expecting them to do anything. Inflation is still an issue, and that's one of their big goals is to fight inflation. So I don't think there's going to be any surprise announcements this afternoon. Now, coming into the Fed meeting, we've seen a little selling in bonds over the past couple of days, and bond yields have been rising. So that's what the bond market is doing ahead of this Fed meeting. Looking at the VIX is still on a sell signal. The VIX ETFs still on a sell signal. No change there. That's supportive for higher stock prices. At the same time, we've seen weakness in a couple of individual stocks that have helped pull down the TSX. And so there's the iShares for the TSX 60 on a sell signal, joining the Vanguard Canada ETF. So no major selling here. The TSX 60 down under 0.5%. The Vanguard total market ETF down 0.68%. So not major selling. A lot of it has to do with Celestica, which was down just under 15% yesterday. So Celestica had a nice ride. You had lots of opportunities to lock in some profits, and now you're going to get out on Wednesday morning. Then we have Cameco also back on a sell signal as of Tuesday's close, and Wheaton Precious Metals. Those were the three biggest losers on the TSX 60. Wheaton already on a sell signal, so no change there. Looking at the U.S. market, little pullback in the S&P 500, just down a tick under 0.5% on the day. The Nasdaq hit a little harder, down over 1%. And you can see we're trading and closing below the previous day's low. So that is a bearish sign. If we look at the panic zone chart, we've had two early warning signals go off, but we're still on a buy signal here. So no major downward pressure so far. And if we look at the Russell 2000, we traded back into the channel yesterday. Small caps right down to the lower channel line, micro caps right down to the lower channel line. So we're seeing some weakness in some of the smaller stocks on Tuesday. Semiconductors pulled back yesterday. They're trading higher in the pre-market this morning, so no change in trend there. Looking at the world of commodities, we had crude oil move up yesterday. It's up again in the pre-market this morning. Gasoline, once again, making new highs here. That's not good for inflation. It's not good for the economy. Then we've got natural gas still on a sell signal. No change there. Looking at energy stocks on the TSX, they were up over 2%. In New York, they were up 1.66%. So no change in trend there. Looking at copper miners, they moved down yesterday. Gold miners moved down, whether you're looking at the GDX, the juniors, or the XGD, they all moved down on Tuesday. Then looking at the silver miners, similar situation, moving down on Tuesday. Looking at the U.S. most actives from Tuesday's trading action, inside day for NVIDIA on Tuesday, fairly quiet trading for Intel. Looks like a topping pattern, but we'll just have to wait and see. Nokia made a new closing high yesterday, up over 5% on the day. Then looking at Big Bear, we're still on a buy signal here, no change there. We've traded down to the lower channel line for the last 4 days without closing below it. Then looking at SoFi's out with earnings, I believe, this morning, still on a buy signal. Pfizer was the next most actively traded stock. This is not a stock that I would ever consider trading. It's just a crappy stock to trade. Looking at the flypaper channel, right now the average true range is 2.09%. So just a little over 2%. So not a lot of movement there. Compare that to Transocean. Transocean average true range is over 4% at the moment. Now, it's important that we don't use the flypaper channel chart to compare stocks that are in different sectors in the market, because if you're trading a bank stock, that's much different than a gold stock. So we use the average true range to compare stocks in the same sector, so you can see if you're, getting the loose cannon or if you're getting the most stable stock in a particular sector. Uh, Joby was the next most actively traded stock. Its average true range is 5.87%, so a lot more volatility in this stock. Obviously, the market doesn't like it at the moment, but I'm pretty sure I saw them testing a new vehicle the other day in New York City, so that didn't really help the stock at all. Looking at Tesla, Tesla is still in the doghouse here, still trading below the flypaper channel. We're on a buy signal right now, but nobody loves this stock. Nobody's chasing it higher at the moment. Then looking at American Airlines, still on a sell signal here, no change there. Moving on to the Canadian market, starting off with ARC Resources, a takeover play, was the most actively traded stock yesterday, followed by Baytech, making a new high for this move. Then we've got TELUS. TELUS still on a sell signal, no change there. Looking at Whitecap, we're moving up to the previous high. Then looking at Enbridge, still on a sell signal here. We would need a close on Wednesday above $72.83 to give us a new buy signal. Then looking at TC Energy, we're back on a buy signal as of Tuesday's close. Then looking at Manulife. Now, Manulife is, often shows up in the most active list. When we look at the average true range, it's only 1.54%. So, a lot of people are trading this stock. Personally, I wouldn't trade it. I'd look for something with a little more daily volatility than Manulife. Then looking at B2 Gold, you can see the average true range here is 4.53% and traded up to the flypaper channel and is now starting to pull back. Looking at Canadian Natural Resources, it's got an average true range of 2.88%. Again, using the flypaper channel as support here, it is back on a buy signal as of Tuesday's close. And then Bank of Nova Scotia coming up to the previous highs. We're trying to break out above 106.25. If we can do that, then 109.38 comes into play. And again, a bank stock, when you're comparing stocks, you need to compare bank stocks to bank stocks. We don't compare a bank stock to a gold stock, for example. They're two completely ends of the market and two completely ends of the volatility range. Looking at Bank of Nova Scotia, the average true range right now is 1.37%. So, from a trading point of view, you're not going to get a lot of movement in a bank stock, but that's maybe why you're trading a bank stock is you are looking for some capital gains and possibly you want to get some dividend income. But you're taking a lot less risk trading a bank stock than you are anything in the resource sector. So, it's important to weigh how much risk you want to take on, what the rest of your portfolio looks like. You've got to, take those things into consider. Just because it's on the top of the most actively traded list doesn't mean it's the right stock for you. Okay, folks, that is all for this morning's presentation. We've got to get through a lot of economic numbers before the market starts. And then we've got energy inventories coming out later in the morning. Again, all before the Fed meeting this afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your day. Next time you'll hear my voice is on Thursday morning.
Thanks for tuning in until the very end of today's stock market timing educational video. If you found the content valuable, don't forget to express your support by hitting the like button, leave a comment, sharing with your friends, and subscribing to our channel for more insightful updates. Remember, in the world of stocks, timing is crucial, and following the trend can be your greatest ally. If you would like more information on how we can help you better time the stock market, please visit theuptrend.com.